Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Jonesin 4 show. Today, oh man, you are in luck because we have a super special guest joining me, dropping Valley Bombs left and right for you all. And I can't wait to get her on. Let me introduce my friend, Jessica Peterson, to you all. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you, Spencer. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you today. We are going to have some fun.
I can't wait. This is going to be so exciting. And I wanted to bring Jess on for all of you so you can learn from her, but really to help you reduce your stress, anxiety levels in life, and really help you get the leg up in life. Because, this show is all about helping you live your life to the max. That's what it's for. And a lot of this is finance, right? If we want to be able to do the things we love to do, we need to make sure we have the finances for it. Now, a couple episodes ago, maybe you remember we had on a financial advisor, Sean Coe, an awesome episode where he talks about how to save and wealth building strategies. But today, we're shifting it a little bit and shifting our finance talk about credit. Because you know what? Credit is something we all, almost every American, has to deal with, right? Because it affects, what kind of loans you can get, percentage rates that you get on those loans or mortgages or whatever you want, right? Credit cards, all that plays into it. And it causes people to live a paycheck to paycheck. And really, you deserve better than that. You deserve to get the most out of life and not be living one paycheck to the next. So we brought on this amazing financial guru, this debt credit score guru to help you really make sure you and your credit score is the best it can be. And she's going to offer you strategies, techniques, all that good stuff to dive in and use so that you can really be at your best. Was that too much, Jess? Was that okay?
No, that was good.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
Whew. Just want to make sure it passed her.
Yes.
So, Jess, let's get to know you first before we just start dropping all these value bombs even more. Who are you? What do you do? What do you like to do? All that stuff. So, tell us about yourself.
Sure. So one of my biggest things, Spencer, is I truly believe that people were born for more than to work, pay bills, and die. Right? We were created for much, much more than that. And one of the things that we were not taught in school is the credit game. And everybody knows that you cannot win the game unless if you know the rules, right? So I was a 20-year plus veteran in the restaurant industry. Customer service has always been my thing, putting a smile on people's faces. And working throughout that and doing that career in particular, I was a statistic. I was living paycheck to paycheck for over 20 plus years. And not because I wasn't making great money, but because I didn't know how to manage it. And I didn't know how to tell it where to go and things like that. So you were just paying bills, right? And working and carrying on through life. And what I learned was throughout the years and paying bills late, I damaged my credit score to the point where I knew it was bad, Spencer, for 14 years. I was the girl who paid double deposits down on everything, right? Including cell phones.
Oh, wow.
I worked myself into a hole, and I was fortunate enough to find a program and some different apps and things like that to actually help with budgeting and paying off debt and being able to save some money, learning how to better handle your money and things like that. So I learned those steps. And when I learned the steps, my life was changed. I was like, this information needs to be shouted from the rooftops. And I just want to be able to let everybody know that your bad credit score can be fixed and that you were born for more than to work, pay bills, and die.
So how did it feel when you were living paycheck to paycheck? You said you were doing that for 14 years, right? Where you're just, hands to mouth, right? Basically. Mm-hmm. So how did it feel for you living life like that?
Not so great sometimes. Being in the restaurant industry, I was able to go out and have some fun, right? Because when we got done with work, we were already in that environment. And it kind of just created a culture that I lived in for a long time. I was not able to ever go on vacations, or go do anything fun, destination, anything, because I was tapped and I was just paying bills and working and then hanging out with coworkers and doing that thing. So it was never really the greatest ever. I have a lot of hard work ethic and some pride in that to be able to show for. But when you're going through and you don't have money, you know, the worst thing in the whole wide world, Spencer, is when you drive a 4-wheel drive vehicle. I'm originally from Minnesota. And when you drive a 4-wheel drive vehicle and you get a flat tire and you have to replace the tire, it's expensive, right? Because on a 4-wheel drive vehicle, it's all 4 tires. It's not just one that you have to replace. And not having an emergency fund to being like, oh my gosh, I can't even buy tires for my vehicle. Like, what am I going to do? So it really was, I had a lot of fun during those years, but I was not responsible by any means, especially when it came to money.
So fixing your credit score, and that is possible, right? It's doable. You've done it, and other people have. Well, let's stick with the feeling aspect of it for a little bit. How does it feel now that you've gotten a handle on your credit score and you're able to improve it, and knowing that life is different than it was before? How does that feel?
Now, oh, so much better. There's no more like anxiety, right? There's no more embarrassment about walking into a dealership and not being able to be qualified because you don't make enough money. Or my story of the snow tires, it still sticks to me, like those things you kind of want to have. And that just embarrassing feeling of not doing good in one portion of life, right? Because there's several areas of life that we have to maintain as adults and do. And my financials were never the greatest at all whatsoever. And nobody likes to talk about that at all whatsoever. It's embarrassing. And the fear also of when you're scared and embarrassed and things like that, you tend to just push things under the rug and not, take a look at them. So you're not really dealing with them. But everybody knows that we're supposed to deal with our feelings and we're supposed to deal with the hard things. So I would just encourage everybody to know that it does get better and it's okay. You really just have to accept, right, where you're at and be honest. And then reach out. There are people to help. There are people that are willing to help you that you wouldn't even think, but you're so embarrassed by it, because I was for so long, that you just don't talk about it and you don't do anything about it. But when you really want to do things, when you really want a more reliable vehicle and you really want, maybe to get into a better living situation, your credit is so important and it's really easy to maintain. You just need to know the rules to the game and be conscious of what you're doing when it does come to your money.
Now, I'm listening to your stories and hearing the change in your voice and inflection as you're talking, from before when you're living paycheck to paycheck. Sure, you had fun at times, but you weren't really enjoying life to the max, right? You weren't really getting the most out of it. And you felt like something was off. And now that you know the rules, you've adjusted and fixed your credit score and you're on that better side of it, right? That now you're going, oh my gosh, life is so much more. And I don't have this guilt or this anxiety anymore and these changes. And folks, like I'm thinking, okay, why are we having on financial thing on the living your life to the max, where we talk about mindset, breath work, and goal setting, all these things? Well, it's because just what Jess said, so many people are afraid to talk about it. That a lot of people don't know if you are struggling with it. Maybe a close friend or two, but that's it. And let this be a sign for you. Let this be a shining light saying, hey, we're here for you. We want to help you make sure you get the most out of life. And, while this is a little different of an episode, I know that this is going to benefit you and help you out. So Jess, let me ask you this question. Let's say I have a decent credit score. It's not great, but it's not horrible. Can the tips and stuff you are going to share, can that help me increase my credit score so that I'm better off yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So credit scores range from the 300s to 850, being that like perfect score, like you're going to nail it and get it. When in reality, only 3% of the United States population carries that high of, an 820 or higher credit score. Not saying that's not doable, everyone. It is. But Spencer, yeah, when you learn the rules to the game and the rules to the credit game, you have a better understanding of what it is you need to do in order to maintain that number. And there's 5 areas that actually balance that whole score out. And each one of those 5 components is a game changer. And there's I guarantee you that average people don't even know 2 out of the 5 that do make up that number. And when you're talking credit scores, to me, it's like, and living life and doing everything, it's kind of how you're doing in your adult life, right? Like in school, we were graded on every subject and in every area, right? All the way through to determine like how smart you were and who you were as a human being. And with your credit score, I kind of like to call it your adult report card for your finances. And for a long time, I was failing, like failing. It was ridiculous. But you can get better grades, right? You can make it better. You just have to like apply and get to it. So somebody that has got like an average credit score, once you learn all the rules to the game and you can sit down and take a look at your budget and what you actually bring in and things like that, you can start to apply those rules to round everything out and to keep your score raised and going up and keep yourself out of debt and keep those lower interest rates on loans that you do have extended out to you.
So let's dive in even more, right? You already started whetting our appetite with different things that we can do. What and feel free to share as much as you can, or you feel compelled to share of what are the 5 areas and what are things we can really do to improve our credit score and make sure that we're on the up and up.
Yeah. So my biggest thing is pay your bills on time. I know we hear that all the time, and it's one of those, annoying things that we do hear. And you pay your bills on time. Pay your bills on time. Did you pay that bill on time? And it does. It counts for 35% of how your credit score is calculated. So paying those bills on time, and like we don't like fail to plan, right? We just like we fail at other things and like, oh, something shiny, it's usually a need versus a want that gets in the way. And that want usually overtakes the need. And that is where some different spending habits can get put into place. But it's, we just fail to plan out properly what we're wanting to do.
So making sure, okay, paying bills on time is the 35% of your score right there. And to really help yourself pay your bills on time, you want to make sure that you're planning for it, right? You might see something shiny like, oh, that looks fun to do, or oh, I can get this, but it's going to affect your budget in a sense, so that you won't be able to pay that full bill. You have to do partial payments, or then you're not paying it all on time as it is, right? Or you're paying it later because of that issue. So making sure that you stick with your budget that you set forth and don't let the shiny object syndrome take hold,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, right? But that is, yeah. The bill paying is one of the things that is just it's easy to do and easy not to do.
Right. So what are other ways? I mean, that's 35%, but that leaves what, 65% on the table? Is that up to the universe,
Yeah.
or what can we do?
There's lots of things that you can do kind of, and it's cutting 35% of your score is paying the bills on time. And there are 4 other areas also that are going to equal up that total 100% on how your score is calculated. And each one of those ways, there are different tips and tricks that you can do to do that. Another one is your utilization rate of your credit cards. The average American carries anywhere from 2 to 4 credit cards. Just one human being, 2 to 4 cards. I thought that was crazy. I didn't know that until like 9 months ago. But facts don't lie, and it's true. The United States is over $1 trillion in credit card debt. The United States, so it's a little crazy, but it comes in handy. Credit cards are emergency money, and that's how they should be used. Is emergency money. They should not be paid, or I don't think that your credit card should be used to pay off your medical bills. Your credit card should not be paid for you to go out on a date and have a fancy dinner one night. That fancy dinner that costs you a couple $100 to take your spouse out for, or your significant other for, you're going to be paying on that probably for the next 6 months. The other thing is just paying attention to those credit cards. The utilization rate of your credit cards, what your total amount given on your loan is, or your balance that you're given, a limit that you give from the banks and the credit cards, you should keep that under 30%. And that's really hard for people to do, myself included. So we're not alone out there, but it is a thing to just use the credit card, right, for something. And I'm not talking, guys, like cards that are attached to your bank account, right? Like your debit card or anything like that. I'm talking an actual line of credit through the bank with a card. My biggest thing, don't use your credit cards to pay your bills. Just if you can, man, don't. Because you're paying, well, ultimately what you're doing is your credit card's got an interest rate. And usually it's in the double digits, especially for people and Americans who have a midline credit score. Your interest rate on that credit card is probably going to be in the double digits into the teens. And some people it's high. And you charge those basic things and you're paying the interest on those. If you don't pay your credit card bill down every month, you're still paying on those things then months out from the time that you actually purchased said thing. So that would be a number one. That would be like maybe a number two thing besides paying your bills on time, is to pay attention to your credit card balances and how you're actively using them.
I like that. And I can see being really tricky because, paying your bills, I mean, they make it so easy for us just to put in our credit card number and just make it convenient, right? But it might be convenient for you and them, but it's not convenient in the long run, because then you're paying that interest rate on it and you're paying more than what you originally would have in the first place. Now, I've heard, especially as a kid and even nowadays, I hear some people say, like, use credit like cash, right? You can use it to buy, going out to dinner or gas or things like that, but you have to make sure that you have that cash for it. So if you could pay cash, you could technically pay cash, right? It's in the bank, you're ready to pay for it, right? Yeah. So saying that, okay, at the end of the month, you could pay that off. Is that still a good philosophy, or is that something you'd throw out, that saying, or change it? What would you say?
No, I would stick to that saying, because there are a lot of people who are responsible, and they do pay their credit card bills every month and things like that. But usually it's just the minimum payment, right? It's not anything more, because it just isn't, because we see a payment and we think that that's it. You don't have to do anything more or anything like that. But if you're just making that minimum payment every month, but you're still charging things and it's still carrying over that 30%, if you're going to carry over that 30% balance every single month, that's going to hurt your score. So we say that 30%, and what you're absolutely right, Spencer, cash. Like, if you know that you have the cash to pay for it and your paycheck's going to cover it and you're going to take care of it at the end of the month, then that's not a huge deal. But it's the things that get people into trouble, like when they're, paying for pizza on a Friday night with their credit card, and you just threw, 2 pizzas at $34 and at 17% interest rate, and then you don't pay that bill the next month. That's where it just tends to get backed up and get into trouble. I like to say a lot of the times cash is king, but credit is power.
Gotcha.
You can buy a lot of things, right, with cash, and a whole lot of things with it, but you do need credit. And unless if you're like a millionaire, billionaire, and you can pay for houses in cash and you can pay for cars straight up in cash, most of us can't do that, right?
Right.
And so in doing so, then you're going to want credit. You're going to want a good line of credit established out to yourself to be able to have that emergency fund. So I wouldn't necessarily say throw any of that away that you said by any means, but just be responsible with it every month and make sure you are making the payment on it, because the bank in tune, gave you a line of credit off of just your word, like we used to do back in the day, and that you're going to pay it back. So.
Hey everyone, Spencer Jones, and I'm sorry to butt in like this, but I'll keep this really short and sweet. I want to help you live your life to the max. I want to help you chase your passions to get the most out of life. And I wrote a book to help you do that. It's my latest book. It's called Chase Your Passions. It's available on Amazon, and I know it can help you change your life and help you live your life to the max. It's basically, in the book, I walk you through how to create the ultimate roadmap to success. Whatever that success looks like for you, it walks you through it. Everybody has a different roadmap, because everybody's dream, everybody's goal is different. So everybody's roadmap is going to be different. But this book helps you, guides you in creating your personal roadmap to success. So folks, don't delay. Get on Amazon and just look up chase your passions. I put Spencer Jones in there too, just to be safe, so it pulls up right away. Or go to my website, spencermjones.com, and get your copy of it today. And heck, get the Priorities of Practice journal with it, because that companion journal, that makes it that much sweeter. All right, folks, thanks for listening. I told you I'd keep it short and sweet. Catch you soon.
So let me pivot this conversation a little bit, and we can come back to another tip or so in a bit.
Sure.
So I know a person who is pretty much off the credit score radar. He pays for cash for everything that he can. Um, I mean everything. Like he doesn't get credit card offers in the mail. Like how many of us do, saying I try to get this. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like he even asked for credit card and nothing. Like they wouldn't even give it to him. Not even like a $500 limit or whatever. There is nothing. And so let's say someone's in that circumstance. Like they've been paying cash, which is good, right? They're taking care of their bills. All that's fine. But they want a credit score so they could buy a house, or they could get a car, or whatever it is, right? Something more where they need a credit score to help with it. How can people build up that credit score if things aren't even giving them the option?
So that would be somebody that's credit invisible. And it happens to a lot of folks. It does. It happens to a lot of times, though, it's with younger, right? Like early teens and things into that area and stuff. And sometimes it can be people who have just gained citizenship here in the United States, right? Okay. We're the only country that actually runs on credit.
Oh, wow.
So building credit is easy to do also. I think you have a better stepping stone to get your credit going when you don't have any credit going versus if you've got a bad history with money. But both can be fixed. And for somebody like that, I would suggest opening up a bank account first and foremost, if they can. Credit unions are always the best. And then from there, moving to see if they could get a secured credit card in the line of anywhere from like $300 to $500. Now that's something that people are going to put that money forward themselves and give it to the bank. So the bank will give them that card, with knowing that as long as payments are made every month on time, usually within 7 to 9 months, you can get an unsecured line of credit and start moving up.
Oh, okay.
And there are a couple of different ways, but those would be my first two right there to tell somebody to do to start. And then the next step is to know that person's situation just a little bit more personally. How did they get into the spot that they're in? Why are they credit invisible? And be able to know their situation to help guide them in the right direction.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. And I think we could all think of some people in our lives who would be credit invisible, whether they're a kid even, and growing up and just starting with that whole credit thing, or as you said, an immigrant coming here or to the United States, or maybe whatever, invisible for whatever reason. So I imagine we can all think of one or two people like that in our lives.
Yeah.
Let's pivot back to improving our credit score, right? We're paying off our credit card bills on time. That was a big thing. The second tip was what again? Remind us.
Paying off debt.
Paying off debt.
Yep, paying off debt.
Paying off debt. And so give us one more tip to really help us improve our credit score.
Oh, wow. Let's see, you're going to pay the bills on time, paying down that debt. And another trick, actually, this might not be a tip for anybody, but another trick. If anybody knows somebody that does have a good to a great credit score, and you're in a good relationship with that person, it doesn't have to, it could be anybody. You and I could do this, Spencer. So say you have a great credit score. Say you're rocking like a 780 and I've got like a 530 something. Mm-hmm. If you are okay with it, you could sign me onto your account as an authorized user. Now, you're not going to give me your credit card. You're not going to give me any access to actually be able to use that. But what you're doing is you're co-signing in a positive way for somebody who is going to eventually, after anywhere they say from like 4 to 7 months, Spencer pays his bills on time, his score stays great. You don't have a lot of hard inquiries in a 12-month period. Your credit score is going to rub off on me.
Huh. I never knew that before.
Yeah. So then I can go and say, thanks, Spencer. And I can go to the bank or somewhere else, and then I could get a credit card. Or I could, take out a loan for a more reliable vehicle, or I need to get into, a new apartment or rental housing or something like that. So that's just a little trick that you can do. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not doing that. There's no way I would do that. You do not have to give the person access to your account. It's just your good spending habits are going to rub off on me, and I could take advantage of that.
I love that. So especially someone you're really close to, family member, really close friend, something like that, where you trust them, right? And even though they're not getting the access to money or credit or anything, it
Yes.
help rub off on them. But obviously, as you said, I would make sure that it's someone I love and trust and want to really make sure I'm helping out with, right? Not just anyone on the street, assuming I have a good credit score and
Yeah.
whoever it is. Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So would you say that by turning your credit score around, improving your credit and not being in that position you were before, paycheck to paycheck, that has really improved your life?
Yes. Tremendously.
It was kind of a no-brainer
The
question, but I thought I'd throw it out there anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did, because it is. I mean, the second I made the decision to start to know what the heck I was doing wrong and why I was in the situation that I was in, I felt better, right? Like a weight was lifted off of my shoulders. And then when you start applying some of the stuff and keeping into a positive, it's so much better. I do not have any more the fear of being told no. When I walk into a dealership and you want a different car and you see the one and you're like, hey, I want that one over there, like, oh, that's hot. Like that's it. Nobody's going to tell you no. They're not going to come up to me and be like, I'm sorry, Miss Peterson, your credit score is not great. So we're going to have to go a different route if you want that vehicle. And to not have to be in that situation is so great. To know that when it snows, like we have snow here. I mentioned earlier, I'm originally from Minnesota, but I'm now in Colorado Springs, and we actually have snow for the first time today, this winter season. But to know that I've got a small nest egg set up specifically for emergency situations, and then it just keeps growing and kind of going from there. And it's cool to know that you can aim your goals at paying off certain things, or you can aim a goal of saving up to take your kids to to Disney World or on a trip or something like that. Money problems suck, and when you get out of them, I think it's one of the coolest things in the whole world. And then you can share with other people, the trip or the ticks. I can't talk today either. The tips and tricks that you learn with this stuff just helps you play the game so much better. And I'm so thankful, and I'm so glad that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I kind of figured out some ways to help myself financially, because everything is so much better now. You just don't have to stress out about it at all. And if I do mess up and something happens, I know now kind of where I messed up and the steps I need to take to get myself out of it.
So I was ready to ask the final question, but then you made me think of this one.
Oh,
So this question is, all right, I have a bad credit score. I want to change this. I've been struggling to pay my bills on time. My credit score is not great. How do I even go about this? Like I know how much money I make each month, but besides that, I'm at a loss. How can I get on top of this so I could start paying my bills on time? Because if I have this big credit card bill, I don't have the money currently to pay that. It's overwhelming. I feel stressed and anxious just thinking about that. How do I even begin? Let me ask that question.
that's a great question, Spencer. I would call your bank that you have your credit card with and start there, right? Like we were talking earlier before this, and how you just sometimes have to ask. You have to put it out there to know what the answer is and then where you can go next. So I would start with by calling your bank that you have your line of credit with and just being honest. Hey, this is what's going on right now. I mean, COVID is happened to the United States. It's happened to the world. It's affected everybody. And you just have to be honest. Even pre-COVID, be honest. Call the bank and say, hey, you know what? I'm kind of struggling right now. You can ask them to work with you. You can ask your interest rate to be lowered. You can ask them what other sort of program that they have to maintain and help you out with it. And I would start there. Be in touch with them. Make sure that they're communicated to that you're having issues. And they're nice sometimes, and they can waive that late payment for you if it happens, or something like that. Because late payments that get reported in, Spencer, drop your credit score 50 to 100 points.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. So it's about communicating and being honest. And then moving forward from there, I would be using money to pay the bills that you need to pay, right? The roof over your head, food in your belly, your car payment, so you can still make it to work and stuff. But ultimately, if you know, and to possibly raise a flag sooner than later. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you know that you're struggling a little bit and you know that things are going to be tight, I encourage everybody to not get sucked in with that fear and not get sucked in with, oh my gosh, and the ignoring of things, because that's going to make it worse. It truly, truly is. Be open and honest about what's going on and put some proactive steps into place before, things get super bad and stuff. But there is help out of it. And then, of course, if you've got credit questions and stuff, I'm around to help any of the people that are just needing, just like we did today, just a couple of questions at all whatsoever. If I can guide you in the right direction to help you get out of it, I'm here. And I would love to help.
I love it. That's a perfect lead into where can people learn more about you, work with you? So whether they have questions or, you help fix credit scores, right? You don't just answer questions. You can actually really help people one-on-one as a client and professional basis, right?
Yes, absolutely. I can be reached, Spencer, on my Facebook page, Jessica Peterson. I'm also on Instagram at Just Believe 2, the number 2. And it's a play off of my name. I just believe that everyone else also can do these things and can get out and come up ahead and not live with that stress and fear and anxiety of what do I do next? So yeah, I'm available for personal help one-on-one, answering questions, even if it's just one question and I never talk to you again, I'm totally okay with that as well. And if somebody's just needing a little bit more help and wants to learn and dive in a little deeper to what it does take to learn the rules to the game and fixing your credit, I most definitely am available.
Love it. So folks, we will have links to her Instagram and Facebook in the show notes, and you can find that at spencermjones.com. Just go to the podcast area or our show area and then click on this episode and you can follow her and get all of her information there so you can ask her the questions and learn. And personally, I feel that pairing this episode with the one with Sean Coe when we talk about budgeting and how to figure all that out, combining these two to give you that superpower to take control of your finances. Because we all want you to be at your best, to live your life to the max. And you can't do that if you can't afford to put a roof over your head, or if you're constantly worried or stressed or anxious about your finances or credit score or whatever it is. So use these to help you get that leg up. Jess, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much too, Spencer. This was fun to do, and it's a taboo topic, but it's got to be talked about.
Love it. Let's bring the taboo to the light so we can chat about and help people out. If you like this episode, folks, please hit like and subscribe to our show so you don't miss a single episode. We have a lot of cool things coming your way. And until next time, folks, we will catch you all later.